Welcome back. So, I don't know. I ain't gonna say I wasn't gonna make a video today, but I was conflicted with making sure that I'm saying something in purpose and not just making a video to make a video. And that's really important to me because I keep saying this is a Holy Spirit filled space, and I really just want to make sure I'm doing what's of the Lord and not just trying to appease algorithms or what people feel like I should be doing every week. But there's so many things that I could talk about. I feel like I don't have a specific topic, and that is kind of bothersome to me because I like to speak on exactly what I'm talking about. But what happened was there was so many things that came at me this week. It's so many topics to be able to talk about, and I just don't want to be all over the place because normally I'll write it down. But what I've noticed is when I write it down, it goes a totally different direction than when I just speak what comes to mind. So one topic per se that was coming to mind this whole entire week was kind of marriage. And it wasn't that everybody's getting married type of thing that be put out there by people. If you know what I mean, you know what I mean. But it was more so reflections. That's just how God has been putting it to me. He's been telling me that we're really a reflection of our partner. And what kind of came to mind was my mom. She was asking me why did I like a certain person? And when I was telling her why I took a liking to this guy was because of his character. So anytime that I was around him, he showed a lot of qualities of just a leader and just a businessman. He had a lot of qualities that I would have wanted as a man, right? And I was explaining these things to her, and I remember telling another person that I liked how other people spoke about him. So there was a guy I was dating that knew him, and he would say all of these great things about him before I even met him. And the things that he spoke about him before I met him it always stuck in my mind. This got to be a good dude for you to be talking about him in this way, because he went through a lot, and just seeing how much this person cared for him kind of showed his character to me. So I was just explaining this to these two people about this guy, and what came to mind recently was I saw a comment that he made on somebody else's post, and it made me feel some type of way. And I'm just one, this shouldn't make me feel any type of way because there's no connection with this person right now, right? But it made me think of how you put certain people at a standard in your mind just based off of the characteristics you think of them. So because I thought so highly of him, seeing that he could play a part in things that could hurt me made me feel it made me look at him a type of way. And I didn't like the fact that it made me look at him different, but it made me think of how you could put certain expectations on somebody, and then you can hurt yourself when you feel like they haven't lived up to the expectations of what you placed in your mind about this person. And it made me think about how in marriages, like, we all have certain standards or ideas that we have of what we want our partner to be, and we want them to live out or be these character traits that either we see in them or we've heard through other people of them, or just different things that you actually do admire of these people, and you want them to live up to those things that you've seen or you feel that they could be. But it can be disappointing when they don't, or you feel like they are intentionally doing things against the traits that you've seen in them. So it had me think about how the other side could feel that same way. Like, your person could look at you and put you at a certain standard, but when you don't meet those expectations, they can feel some type of way or feel differently towards you. And it's like, in those situations, you would want your person to have grace or understanding of knowing that certain situations may make them do things this way, but that doesn't make that their character. I hope I said that the way I meant it. So another way that took place was, there's somebody that has been placed in like a leadership position in my life, right? And the Lord was showing me like a reflection between them as well. So when the person comes and talks to me, I can see how they sometimes think that the things that I do make me difficult. And I saw how this person, I'm going to say orchestrated situations, how they created situations to show how they felt that I was difficult. And I remember having a conversation with this person, telling them that, I don't feel like the things that I do are trying to be difficult. It's either me really trying to get understanding, or it's just certain situations that take place that make the situation what it is when it's not me intentionally doing those things. And did I feel like he understood in that situation? I don't know. It's really a hit or miss when we're in situations, because I feel like the enemy tries to cause confusion when we're around each other, to make it seem like we're against each other when we're not. Because, like, I really don't have no problems with how he leads. It's just that I can see how the enemy can change the different methods or routes he would take to lead. And I'm not judging him for that, because I'm pretty sure he sees the same thing in me. He sees how the enemy will try to come into the mix and change the way that I would handle situations. And he probably doesn't like those characteristics in me coming from his perspective. Like, I can see it from his perspective as well, because sometimes, like, I would reflect back on the situation and be like, I could have handled that better. And I would hope he would, look at his situation and be like, I could have handled that better. But what took place was, the enemy came around doing what the enemy does. And in those situations, like, I was just like, okay, Lord, like, is this how he feels that I am? Like, is this how he feels that I intend for situations to be? So, like, people would come around and try to force, like, themselves into a problem. And it's like, no matter how much I would try to resolve the problem or tell them what could help the situation or correct the situation or move the situation forward, like, these people just had to have their way, or they had to, feel like they were right in the situation, or push the issue even more when it could just be done with. And from their perspective, I can understand why they were doing these things, because for some people, they just really wanted understanding. And then for others, it was demonic entities being demonic with them. And I was trying to show grace through these situations, because I knew that, one, these people either just wanted understanding, or two, like, they're not intentionally doing these things. It's just something beyond them is forcing them into a situation that they probably don't want to even be in themselves. So I was just like, okay, why does he feel this way about me? Like, this is me asking God these questions. And I'm just like, how can he not see that I'm not that reflection? Like, that's the reflection that he's putting out there as a perspective of me is not the reflection of me. Like, that may be what it seems like in the situations, but that's not my situations. Like, those aren't the way that the situations play out from my perspective. Like, he came around sometime this week, and the atmosphere just got really chaotic. And he was asking a question, but multiple people around was asking questions as well. So I was trying to prioritize what I needed to do as far as the job, and not really, trying to ignore a leadership person being in the room, like, not trying to be that person that's going against authority, if that makes sense. Like, if I could just stop the environment from acting like the environment, I would have stopped, listened to what he had to say, and kept on going with the day. But it just didn't work out that way. Like, the computer was acting crazy. The people in front of me was acting like they just had no understanding of what was going on in the situation. The people around me was adding more to the situation than it needed to be. And on top of that, it just looked like I was ignoring him when I really wasn't. But to explain that didn't make sense at the time. So I just tried to prioritize what I needed to prioritize to get the situation back into a comfortable space for me to be able to do what I needed to do. So, like, I handled the situation with the people in front of me. I listened to what he had to say, and then I got back to the other people that had a question as well. And he left the situation, and I knew that from his perspective, it looked chaotic. It looked like I didn't have everything under control, and it looked like I was ignoring authority, when all actuality, when I say witchcraft be doing witchcraft, it really do. Like, I know some people see it, but I know a lot of people don't. So there's no better way to explain it. It is what it is. And when I say that's what it is, it really do be that. But if you believe me, cool. If you don't, at this point, I really don't care. Like, I got to find a way to help me through these situations. So I'm just like, okay, that's how it is with marriages. Like, the enemy don't like marriages. Like, the enemy wants to cause chaos and confusion. So I have to understand this now, whenever God places me into a marriage. Like, I have to understand that there is going to be a different level of warfare that takes place, and making sure that I'm in a space of understanding, and in a place of making sure I'm communicating with my partner or my person in this space, that it's not always what it looks like, and it's not always what you think is playing out on the other person's side. And those are things that you have to take into consideration if you do go through with the plan of marriage that God has for you. Like, this is something that you asked for. This is something that you desire. So be in the place of understanding right now while God is trying to help you through these situations, so that when you do get into this place, you'll know how to handle these situations so that things can last, and you're not running from situations that you knew would take place, because God showed you beforehand that this is a different type of level of warfare that comes with this type of position. So it's like, just because some people make it look easy, like, you don't know what all they're battling or going through to just maintain or stay in a place of peace or a place of calmness, when all hell be really breaking loose on another perspective. So it's just like, the main thing that every situation always comes back around and turns to is extend grace. Like, understand that place of grace, because like, it's really gonna ground you in different situations to help you be able to overcome situations, to overcome like demonic thought processes or demonic oppression that could be taking place. And it's a healthy foundation to be able to move forward without holding grudges or putting different expectations that people, like, we're human. So you can't expect people to be Superman or Superwoman all the time. Like, it's okay for those times where they fall short. That's when you need to step in and give a little more to be able to help them through whatever they're going through. And that's okay. Like, you have to be okay with that. Like, that's part of the job. That's part of the assignment. That's something you signed up for. So when you're going through these situations, just remember that, so that you can extend grace to be able to get through it. So that was that with like reflections. And I might just separate all of these and just let this be this. So until next time.